Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up. So July was an okay reading month for me. I was able to read 6 books, which isn't terrible, but considering I didn't have school this month and I was home, I did expect myself to do better, but I'm not beating myself up over it because I was able to do a lot of things that I enjoyed. I hung out with friends, I went on many trips, I visited family, I went to the Taylor concert, which is what you guys saw in my last reading vlog. So I did enjoy myself, and I think that's all that matters, especially when you have a lot of time off like summer vacation. So let's get into the books that I did read. The first book that I read in July was Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. You guys already know I'm not the biggest fan of Morgan Matson's books. I find them enjoyable, it's just that I find them predictable and I don't always connect with the main character or any of the characters, and that was the case with this one as well. This book is about Emily and Sloane, 2 best friends, and Sloane goes missing, but she leaves a list for Emily to complete. I did not connect with Emily. I thought I would, considering our personalities were sort of similar, but I just didn't agree with some of the choices she made, and it just wasn't all that enjoyable all the time to read about her. I did not like Sloane at all. I think that she was using Emily and she was kind of being really mean and controlling to her, and I know that she was like glorified in the end, which I didn't agree with. Again, the story was pretty predictable, but it was enjoyable and it was the perfect summer read, as everybody had said when it came out, and so I am glad that I finally got around to reading this one. The next book that I read was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Caraval, a book that I read last month, and you guys know that I really enjoyed it. So as soon as I got my hands on the sequel, I did read it on audiobook, which was a great choice. I love all of the audiobooks for this series. It just makes you feel so immersed in the world, and it's such a whimsical book. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I docked off a star because I didn't really connect with Donatella as much as I did with Scarlett. I prefer reading from her perspective rather than Donatella's. However, it was still really great. If you guys read the first book, then you would know that there's so many different avenues that Stephanie Garber could have gone down in terms of continuing the series, and the mother plotline was a really interesting way to go, and I enjoyed it so much. I thought that all the plot twists were insane. I didn't think that it could get crazier than it did in Caraval, but it did, and I just was living for it, and I finished this audiobook within like 4 days, and it's not that small of a book, but I definitely really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the 3rd and final book in the trilogy. Next, I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. This is the only Rainbow Rowell book that I had not read. I loved most of her other work, Eleanor and Park and Landline. I did not really enjoy Fangirl, but I'm happy to say that I really did enjoy Attachments. It was really interesting, especially in its setting of like the late 90s to the early 2000s, and our main characters were great. Jennifer and Beth, I loved them, their friendship, they were so quirky. As for Lincoln as a protagonist, I did enjoy reading from his perspective. It was very different from what I'm used to, but I just found him a bit boring at certain times, and I did love him. It was just, sometimes he was just not always the most exciting character to read about. This book did touch on topics that were much darker. I didn't think it was going to get as dark as it did, but I think it added another element to the story, and overall I really enjoyed this one. Next, I read Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. You guys know I've been reading this book forever. I've actually been reading it since February, and I finally finished it. I picked up the audiobook and I finished the last half of it, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The mystery was great. I loved every aspect of it, every clue, every way that they tried to solve it. It was really great. I haven't really read many YA mystery/thrillers, and this one was a really great one. I loved Audrey Rose and I loved Thomas Creswell. I love them together, and I heard that they will be continuing in the series, so I will definitely be picking up the next book. I think the reason why I wasn't able to finish it very quickly, it literally took me months, is because it was just really slow, and I've heard that from a lot of different people, that it just I don't know what it is about this book because on audiobook it seems so much faster, but when you read it, it feels like you're really trudging through it. I did enjoy it and I will be continuing with the rest of the series. Then I read I Have Lost My Way by Gail Forman. This was a spontaneous read. I just picked it up when I was getting ready for the Taylor concert on audiobook, and I ended up being halfway through it by the time I was done with it for the day. And so I was really invested in the story. This book follows 3 different people who are having their own separate issues from totally different backgrounds, and they come together for one day and they help each other navigate through their problems and they become friends, and it was way more than what I was expecting it to be. I enjoyed the diversity more than anything. I thought it was great in terms of the LGBTQIA+ community and their racial backgrounds. It was all so great. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing is that I wish that their stories wrapped up a bit more cleanly, I guess, or in general. I just think that it was left on a cliffhanger and I wanted to know what happened next. But for what it was great. You should definitely pick this one up. It's short, it's heartbreaking, it's everything you can want in a contemporary, so pick it up. The last book that I read in July was The Becoming of Noah Shaw by Michelle Hodkin. You guys know Noah Shaw is my one true love. I love him so much, and he's mine, so back off. But I finally got around to reading this one. I went to the launch party in New York since November of 2017, and I never read it. I just wanted to devote all my time to it, and I promised myself I would read it in the summer, and I did, and it was amazing. It was so great to see these characters that I love so much again, and the storyline was actually really, really interesting. I didn't know where it was going for half the time, but once everything came together, it was great. The ending was a bit confusing, actually. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. I just really need the next book, and it's not coming out till November, but I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. If you read the Mara Dyer trilogy and you enjoyed it, you should definitely pick this one up. So guys, that was my July wrap-up. Comment down below some of the books that you read in July and how many you read. I'd love to know. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and all that other great stuff. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!